The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturdays or Sundays, SOR Media, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the expressed written consent of SOR Media is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced? Then come own the night with us.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all
stationed atop the mountains of British Columbia, live from SOR headquarters. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and on Spaced Out Radio on iTunes. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio.
Brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spy.
It's Wednesday, July 18th, Thursday, July 19th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We are 150,000 strong nightly on the SOR radio network and the Deep Talk radio network, and we welcome you to tonight's show. If you're looking for our archives, guess what? We got them for free for you on YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate that. Our website's going to see some changes coming up very soon. Maybe a little new coloring, some new sections. But right now, you could go rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the Encounter Online, our news section, and so much more. Thank you so much for tuning us in tonight. You have no idea how much I need each and every one of you right now. I need you a lot. It's very rare that I ask for help. But tonight I'm asking for your help. I'm asking for your thoughts and prayers. I'm going to take some personal time here before we start the show to tell you all something. And if I choke up, please forgive me. It's been a hard couple of hours. It's probably the toughest intro I've ever done. I found out about 2 hours ago that my 29-year-old nephew Bryce has been in my life since I was 15 years old, passed away. He was my boy. When I was younger, I took him everywhere because I was addicted to him. You know, I loved him so much. I remember the day he was born, I was in high school, grade 10. And I don't even remember that day. All I remember was right after school, my buddy and I hopped on the bus to the mall. And I went and bought my nephew his first pair of Nikes. They were size 5. They were rainbow colored. They were red and yellow and blue and green and white. And as a teenager, I can selfishly admit, I used him to meet girls. Go to the beach, all the girls would say, "Oh, he's so cute. Is that your boy?" "No, that's my nephew." "Oh, hi. How are you?" He was a smart kid, always called me Uncle. Never Uncle Dave, just Uncle. Bought him his first pair of Nikes. I taught him how to skate, how to play hockey, how to throw a ball. We wrestled, had a very, very close relationship. When he was a teenager, things started to go downhill. He got involved with the wrong crowd. You see, my sister also went down a dark path. And his dad, well, outside of emotional, he just was never there. So my nephew moved in with my parents when he was about 12, but the lure of the bad crowd just seemed to pull him away. In 2010, I tried to help him. I moved him in with my family. He came to me and said, "Uncle, I need help." He wasn't on drugs at that point. He was just in a bad situation. And for a couple of months, I thought he was coming around. But that dark side just kept on calling. Till one day, a couple months after, he moved out. I didn't talk to him or see him for 7 years. He pulled right away from the family. I didn't see him until this past Christmas. I gave him a giant hug, told him how much I loved him, how much I missed him. He was in rehab at that time after developing a habit of heroin and OxyContin. I talked to him a couple weeks ago, reminded him how proud I was of him and how much I loved him. Here's the hard part. From what I learned about half an hour ago, my nephew died alone on a park bench in Vancouver. Dead. 29 years old. That's all I know. And just like that, he has no more pain. Off to heaven, my Stu. I used to call him Stu. I call all my nephews and nieces Stu. It's just easier that way, rather than remembering their names. But I love that kid, man. I absolutely love that kid. Love your kids. Love your nieces and nephews. Love your family. If you have a family member who is addicted, whether it's drugs or alcohol, do me a favor. Don't give up on them. Our family never gave up on him. My dad, I feel so sorry for my dad right now. My dad, through all his troubles, my nephew's troubles, was right there with him. A few months ago, my dad had to pick him up from a tent city because he had relapsed. And I was on the phone with my dad, and I'm like, "Dad, go get him. Go get him." And so my dad did. And he came down from his heroin high in front of my parents. And Dad got him into rehab quick. We were lucky. If you are addicted and listening to this show right now, please know you are loved. You are valued. You are worth it. It doesn't matter how dark it is, man. You are worth it. Get help, not just for your own life, but for the ones who love you and will love you until the end of time. Call a 1-800 number, go to the doctors, go to the police, and just say you need help. You may not believe it, but the door's open the minute you say you need help. Stop being proud or thinking that nobody loves you. Because you know what? They may not love what you were doing to yourself, but they love you. Just get help. Don't put your family through what my family is now going through. Don't be selfish. My family hurts tonight because of drugs. All right? My family totally hurts because of that crap that's on the streets. I don't know what killed him yet. Maybe he had a heart attack. Maybe he took fentanyl. I don't know. We don't know anything right now. We won't find out until about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning when the coroner's office opens. Help your family. Help your children. Help your nieces. Help your nephews. It's very worth it. Because you were wanted and you were loved. God rest your soul, buddy. God rest your soul. All right. Thank you. We got a show to do. So bear with me. We got a show to do. And by God, you know, I'm not taking time off just because somebody close to me died. Okay, I got to be here. This is healing for me. Being around all of you right now is very, very healing for me. But I want you to know just one thing. If my phone rings, normally I have my phone ringer on off or on vibrate. But if my phone rings and it is one of my family members, I am stepping away from the microphone. Mike Morin from Ghosts of the Great White North is actually in studio today. And, you know, we're going to get into this. Okay. I'm composing myself now. Whew, here we go. I know you got me. I can feel the love. I can feel it right now. Thank you. Thank you. Tonight on Ghosts of the Great White North, which is a paranormal special we do the third Wednesday of every month, Mike Morin is actually in studio tonight from Haunted Crew of Canada, based out of British Columbia here. Tonight we will be talking with Allison Ford, her husband Matt, who has just an incredible goatee going right now. Excellent chin hair. Grade A. And Cory Nagy from the team P.A.S.T, a paranormal team out of the province of Saskatchewan, where even in the flatlands, the plains are haunted. In hour number 3, Everett Thiemer from The Encounter will join us at the bottom of the hour. But Mike, great to have you here. Thank you, buddy, for being here. I really appreciate that.
No, bro, always here. Happy to be up here.
You got to get closer to your microphone, my friend. You almost got to, like, eat it. I know. Pretend it's an ice cream cone. It looks like you haven't missed an ice cream cone in a long time, man.
Here, huh?
Yeah. Absolutely. But let's...
I like your new studio. That's what I've been soaking up here. All your guitars hanging.
It is nice.
Nice.
It is very nice.
Cabin here?
It is. It's very cabinish right now. And, you know, from our investor to Amy Martin and everybody in between, you know, it is very, very beautiful here. Everybody kind of set it up very, very nice. But, Mike, do you want to just talk for a second? I want to make sure that you're coming through.
Hey, Dave. This is Mike speaking.
Okay, we're going to try and turn you up a little bit. Say hello again.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cat.
There we go. I think you can all do this and hear him. But Allison, Matt, and Cory, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. How you guys been?
Great. Thank you for having us again.
Oh, it's great to have you here.
I think it's going to be a good show.
So too, Cory, how you been, bud? Been a while since we talked to you.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. I've been doing pretty good.
Excellent. How's the ghost hunting out there so far this year, Cory?
So far this year, pretty slow. We haven't really gotten into too much.
Yeah. And Matt, what have you been up to?
Well, I just came back from Ontario doing lectures there and meeting some old friends. But yeah, and also I've been putting a web series together. It's on YouTube called The Medutu Effect, kind of filling in the gaps between the equipment and the metaphysics.
Very cool. Very cool. And it's always a pleasure to have all of you guys here because, I mean, some of the stories that we have from around Canada, our American listeners really, really want to hear. So when Mike told me that he had you guys coming on the air tonight, I was actually pretty excited. Now, we are working with Mike's stuff here. So, Mike, do you want to say hello again?
Hello again.
Okay.
I basically have this microphone in my mouth.
All right, we're going to turn that up a little bit. Well, I'm hoping everybody can hear you now because apparently they couldn't hear you. So we are working on it right now to hopefully get you up and running. Otherwise, we're going to have to move you over to this side of the microphone. But Cory, why don't you start off by allowing our audience to know that what P.A.S.T is all about?
Well, we are a grassroots team. Everything we do, like we seek out the logic before we actually start rushing in and saying, "Oh my God, it's a ghost." And yeah, we're just a down to earth team, and we kind of embrace metaphysics along with logic, electronics, the whole bit.
And how does your team break down, Cory?
Right now, I've actually stepped back as the lead because I've been doing a little bit of a side business on my own. So Allison's taking that role on right now. She's also been doing all the review. Thank you, Allison. And Matt he is our wizard. He's our guru. He's our expert in metaphysics. He's our expert in electronics. He also produces the show.
Yeah, because you guys are actually on television in Saskatchewan.
That is correct, yep.
How long have you guys been doing that now?
We are currently starting to film season 4.
Already. Season 4 already, Allison. I mean, that has to be a little... That happened fast, man. I don't know how else to put that. That happened really fast.
Yeah, it really did. And, every year it just seems like we're getting better and better and learning more and more. And, the time is just flying by. And, it's just really exciting. We're still filming for our new release in the fall for season 4. So stay tuned and looking forward to it.
So when you guys do your television show, explain to our audience, Allison, what exactly you are doing for the show. What type of programming do you have in there?
Again, I guess it's, you could say it's a reality show, obviously, but it's completely unscripted. We honestly do not know how a show is going to be put together until we filmed it and Matt sits down to produce it. So it could be heavily evidence-based if we've got a lot of great evidence. But say we didn't catch a lot of great evidence, then we would go on to maybe focusing more on the stories of the people that, have had the experience at the location. It just really, the history, again, we like to give back. When we're filming these locations, especially for businesses, We like to make people aware of the business, that where this could be happening, to draw attention to it, to draw attention to if we're at a historic location, maybe make people more aware that, hey, look, this amazing place is in your backyard. And, come check it out. You don't have to be there to do a ghost hunt, but you could go there during the day and just check out the location and the history. And also, again, we like to educate. That's a huge part of what we do. We're not a fear-based group. We don't prey on people's fears. We don't go into a location and, start saying that they have 7 portals and 200 demons infesting their house and scare them. We're actually trying to help them understand what may be going on in their environment, whether it could very well be something that's explainable by science, high levels of EMF. It could be, noise contamination. It could be many things. And if we determine that it could be possibly be paranormal, that's when we kind of, we're helping people try to understand what might be going on in their environment, but also trying to open a line of communication that could be helping spirit, if it's an active spirit, to also be able to, coexist in that type of condition. So,
how many members are on your team? And out of curiosity, what is the role of each person that you have?
On our team currently, we started out, when we started filming, we had 5. We're down to 3. And Kelsey was on the team. She has left to go back to school. And also Dara Lee has left. She is pursuing her own career. And so there's 3 of us left now on the team. Oh, and because of Cory stepping back a little bit as well, we have a couple of new members that are helping us out this season, which is really exciting. We have Kenton DeYoung, and he works heavily with Heritage Regina. So we kind of brought him in as our go-to for anything, basically looking into the background of a location, the history of it, because we find that's super important to what we do. And also he knows where to look for that information, so that's helped us out quite a bit. He's also very active. He has his own blog and travel blog, and again working with Heritage Regina. And also Justin Henry he also works at Access Communications where Matt works, and he's coming in because he's really interested in the tech. Again, also a broad interest in the paranormal as well. So, they're coming in to learn, but we're also learning from them as well. And it brings in some fresh eyes into the group. And, again, we love to educate, and it's been really fun so far. So looking forward to doing more investigations with them.
How do you feel training your new guys?
It's a lot of briefings. Initially, it's boring because they have to stay in the command center. They have to learn what we're looking for. They have to understand why we're looking for certain things. We just don't like taking new people and saying, go for it. Now, we have done that with some semi-experience, but in this case, we was on an investigation, and I was thinking in the back of my head, these guys have got to be bored out of their minds, because I want them to observe and learn and get into the rhythm of how we go around, but at the same time, offer new insights, because sometimes when you're doing the same thing over and over and over, and you have a new person coming in, they can kind of enlighten you what you're missing.
how important is it to have that type of mix with what you are investigating and to have the right people working alongside to have everybody's back, so make sure everything is covered?
That's super important. It's key. It's great to have different points of views, your own individual identity on this, but at the same time, you also realize that you're only a piece of the cog to making it work.
Do you think it's important to have those special pieces? Because for a lot of teams out there, they tend to think that you got to have certain members and, a certain amount, like maybe 8, 10, 12 members of a team, and you have to be able to, have everybody having some sort of specialty, when in reality, you don't need that big of a team in order to conduct a proper investigation.
That's correct. And also, different locations, it may be just Cory going, or it may be just me and Allison going, or it may all of us be going. The more people you have at a location, you can also contaminate it and make matters worse, and you will have no way of validating it. So it's, the size of the team on site needs to be justified by the needs of it's like carrying the right tool for the right job, I guess you would say.
How do you go about training your team members? Like once they're in your command center, like how do you field train them when you feel they're ready to go into the haunted locations and use all the tech?
Well, they're always paired with somebody, and we don't do sometimes we'll go and do solos, but that's only if we have additional IP cameras and whatnot, just for safety reasons. But as far as field training, they have to understand there's a lot of explaining, and, what I'm looking for. If Cory's in the command center and he's watching the monitors, he's steadily explaining, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm listening for. Okay, I just got this footage in. I'm popping it in. It's literally a step-by-step what we're looking for, and what we're also, for them to also pay attention to questions. Excuse me. Too many hours. It's important for them to also watch and learn the questions we're asking, our approach, because we always approach everything very respectfully. The property, the possible entity, or whatever your view is of that, and also the landowners, and as well as anybody in the area. So if you have to lead by example, no matter what you do. So as far as field training, it's more or less watch what we're doing. Afterwards, what did you think of how it went? Now, granted, there are times where you hear, this would have been better, I think, if we could have done this. And most of the time, they're right. And we learn and grow from that.
That's true.
But one thing we always do pride ourselves on, though, is we always teach them to go in and be non-aggressive as well.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these teams that are out there are just coming in guns a-blazing, and that is very disrespectful to the site. And we also find, like, if there is an entity there, and we come in and we anger it, well, we're gone in the morning. So now we leave that homeowner with an angry spirit, and we are totally against that. So that's one of our things that we also teach as well.
Do you guys ever call in a sensitive for situations like that, where if you feel you've angered something in a house or building you're investigating, do you have a sensitive come in and check it out, clear it out, fix it?
No. Well, we've actually worked with some psychic mediums and that, but most of the time we bring them into a location where, especially a large location, because we have very limited time. So what we would do is we would use them to kind of pick up some, more hot spots places that we can focus on. And a lot of times later, it's when we're not till evidence review are we actually going over things and saying, oh, hey, this person, the psychic medium was saying they saw somebody with a hat walking around. Well, oh, wow, we caught a apparition of a person with a hat. And so that's really, I find that really interesting. But as far as clearing, doing clearings and that and using those types of people, that's something that we don't focus on as a team. Basically, we're there to observe and open up a line of communication. And sometimes that's, depending on the location, that's all people really need is that open line of communication. Again, with spirit, maybe the whole reason why a place is active is they're trying to get a message across. And, with what we do, maybe they are able to get that message across, and it helps to, calm, the activity that could have been happening. We do have support people on, that we can refer. So if we go into an area or location and people are, after we've been there saying, you know what, I can't live with this. This is just way too much for me, which very rarely happens because once people actually understand what could be happening, they're okay with it because they realize a lot of times it's a coexist situation. So, but if that's the way it is, we also take into consideration what religion that they might be practicing or, what some of their spiritual beliefs will be, and we try to pair them with people that can help them in that respect. But as our group is, that's not something that we would do. We can counsel them a little bit on how to, possibly make the location a little bit more inhospitable for spirit to be there. But no, we don't come in with sage blaring and clear out a location. That's something that.
Allison, I wanted to ask you about something you said, because I think for a lot of people out there who are not familiar with the paranormal investigation side, define what you mean by hotspots.
Okay. Again, hotspots are generally when it's all about communication. So we do a lot of interviewing, talking. From the point of contact, we are constantly talking to the client. Initially, we go out and do an interview with them before we even conduct an investigation. We would never just talk to a client and just go out to a location. We would actually sit down with them, have a coffee, get their stories, and then we would, when we decide we'd want to do an investigation, go to the location, do a walkthrough with the client, and they would say, okay, well, we've had multiple, we've had multiple things happen here, multiple things happen there, and those are what we would consider a hot spot. A lot of times we would set up an IP camera there, maybe focus a little bit more on that location. Although in the moment on location during investigation, that can change really rapidly. And again, we're at the point where we're actually doing on-the-spot review. So when we take turns going in with the camera, we'll come and dump it in the trailer onto a laptop, and someone will actually sit there and review, because there could be things we're not catching with our ears, with our eyes, and the camera has caught it, and that might become a hot spot in the moment. So again, we're like, someone might have been in an area not thinking something's happening, goes out to the trailer, and they brought it up on the laptop and said, oh, wow, we just caught a disembodied voice, or an EVP. We've caught, a light anomaly. So, again, we're like, okay, that's a hot spot now. Let's go back in there and check it out.
A lot of teams show up at an investigation and they just get it going. It's kind of like, a hockey game where you hit the ice and the minute the puck drops, off you go. Yet you guys decide to set it up, talk to your client, make them feel comfortable with the process that's going to happen. Why is that important, and why are so few paranormal teams out there actually doing that?
Well, yeah, I think each one of us have our own opinions on those, but I think, to be quite honest with you, and this is going to be my own personal opinion, a lot of paranormal teams just jump in, guns blazing, because they've seen way too much of TV and with ratings, and they think that's how it is. But now, however, if you look at any show, because of time restraints on production of the show, you don't see a lot of the background stuff, and you don't realize that some of these paranormal teams are doing this, but because a lot of people are using these big-name commercial TV shows. I mean, we don't get paid to do the TV show. We don't get paid to do investigations. That's something that's very important to us. But I think a lot of people see that and use that as a guidebook. That's just me. I don't know if everybody else agrees.
100%.
Yeah. I think that really brought up something important, too, is that when we do bring new people onto the team to help out or, on permanently, it's actually almost a deprogramming stage because, again, they're so influenced by watching these shows on TV and, in reality, it's really nothing like that at all. So it's kind of deprogram and then say, you know what, this is how it really is. So, watch, learn, observe, contribute. So
when you guys are filming, do you ever let your client or building owner hang out, be it in your command center or with you guys, but behind the cameras?
Majority.
Okay, oh, sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
I was going to say, majority of the time they often ask to be present, which is fine. Either in the command center or whatever the case, but not always. A lot of times they like some of the larger properties. They're like, "Here's the key, and I'll talk to you tomorrow." I know what goes on there, so I don't need to be present. But yeah, for the majority, most of them are curious, and that's why they're there. It's not necessarily I got strangers in the building. It's more they're curious of how the investigation goes, what are we catching on the fly, and we always explain to them we may not know until after weeks of reviewing the evidence, the footage. So.
When you're reviewing the footage of any type of investigation that you do, could you take us through the process, Matt, of how that goes about? Because I think for a lot of amateur people out there who are just getting into the field, or maybe they don't fully understand how the evidence should be gone over, how do you do that?
Well, it's a two-stage process, actually, and I'll let Allison talk about the first stage, and then I'll go into the second stage. She handles most of the reviewing in the first stage of it.
Yeah, well, I seem to be able to, make the time, and I have, the quiet environment to do so. So it's basically I load everything onto, I load everything up. I actually take all the evidence, organize it. I like to be very organized, just so when Matt does a production, it's really easy to pull up. But yeah, I mean, people don't realize that every single camera that is rolling, every single device that is recording has to be reviewed. So, I mean, even just this past investigation alone that we had just done, how many cameras did we have set up? Four IP cams, 3 IP cams, the GoPro cameras. Also, we call it the good camera, but our interview camera, our walkthrough camera. Every second of that has to be reviewed. I mean, that took me 3 full days of review. And so I go through, basically, I watch everything. A lot of times I'll watch each recording multiple times. I just quickly pick up things that I might think are possibly evidence. And even if I think it might be, I'll put beside, okay, light anomaly, could be dust, could be bug, or if I see a shadow, or if I see something that's just a little off, or I hear something that could be just a little off, I'll put, possible this, possible that. Or if I really think it's definite, I usually put a star beside and say, hey, look here. And then I'll usually shoot Cory a message and say, holy crap, I caught this amazing, light anomaly. I caught this amazing, full-bodied apparition, and, share it with everybody just to get everyone excited to say, hey, or even send something to the client. Say, you know what, I am looking at this. This is amazing. Look what we caught. And then I basically hand it off to Matt because he's able to put it onto our larger computer and filter the sounds, and so take it from there.
So what happens is once I get it, now I'll look at before and after the timestamps that she has. If it's a sound anomaly, say, for example, and this is something that I spoke on just over the weekend, so that's why it's kind of fresh. Let's say, for example, you hear a growl. Right now, with TV sensationalism, what's the first thing you're going to think of?
Demon.
Yep. So what I do is I actually change the frequency. I slow it down. I speed it up. Because if it's coming across the veils, we have an equation for timing. When it's coming across, it's quite possibly they don't have the same equation. So what happens is that it could be misinterpreted as a growl when it could be a simple hello. So I change the timing of the frequency, the playback rate, speed it up. Okay, once I roll it out, it was a growl. Or she sees a light anomaly with the larger monitors. I can zoom in and see maybe there's a wings. I look for drop ceilings, which constantly cause dust. I kind of go through, and I'm the bearer of bad news sometimes, and then sometimes I find stuff in between because I can toggle the frames a lot slower.
Yeah, he's like up on things that I've possibly missed. But again, when you're sitting for hours and hours in front of a computer with, a headset of headphones on, it's easy to miss things once in a while. So.
Demon growls. You go.
Well, what's kind of funny is we were actually on an investigation today, Mike and I, because he's up here visiting, and we went out with Bazooka Joe back up to Flight 21. So to give you a little bit of history, and our audience a little bit of history about Flight 21, back on June 8th, 1965, Canadian Pacific Airlines flight blew up over the skies of this forest, which is about 35 kilometers northwest of where I live in 100 Mile House, British Columbia, and 51 people died on that plane. We were at the crash site today. And it's funny when you mention growls, because we weren't getting growls so much as we were getting these soft grunts, and at times we were actually hearing with our own ears people's voices, kind of like you'd hear and I'm muffling myself here, but like, hey, and it was really weird, Mike.
Yeah, female voices as well. I had a Zoom audio recorder rolling the entire time we were up there, along with my GoPro, so I think we're going to go through that footage tonight after the show, because we're both chomping at the bit to see if we actually caught anything. Those mumbles, man, they were female and male, 100%.
Yeah, it was absolutely weird, but I mean, it's exciting though, and you guys even have to admit that it's great to get something on tape, but when you hear it with your own ears, it's amazing how much you get down on your knees and pray that the audio equipment caught that as well. Hey, Cory?
Oh, definitely. definitely. That's happened more than a few times to us. Like, we were actually doing this one episode. Actually, it was before we were shooting episodes. We were just doing an investigation at a local bar. And this plays into Matt's timing thing. Myself and a couple of the older members that are no longer members of the team, we were all sitting around. We were doing a Ouija board session. And we heard a bang in the room. And we were all surrounding the Ouija board, and we all heard the bang come from a different corner. So none of us were exactly sure where it came from. And we thought it was really cool, so we went back, we live reviewed it, and it turned out that it was actually a growl that came across the one camera. And we sent that off to Matt, and Matt cleaned that up for us, and it didn't actually growl at us. Like, we asked the question, we said, like, we don't want to call out anything negative. And once Matt cleaned that up, it actually said to us, "But you are."
Sorry, guys. Dave just got a phone call, so I've just taken the helm.
Okay.
I actually had a question for you written down before we were talking about the Flight 21. When you guys film, what's your production time roll around? Like, say you film an episode, how long does it take till it's on air? And are they like 29 minutes or 44-minute episodes?
28 minutes to the mark. There we have a, excuse me, 1 minute before, 1 minute after for lead in and lead out.
And do you guys do the episode yourself, or do you have a production team that makes it?
No, I am the production team.
Yeah, like you said, Matt is the man. Yep.
Yeah, no, off air I may ask you some questions because I've been trying to put some little episodes together myself. I use Final Cut Pro, and I find it hard sometimes to... I envy that you can do that, actually.
Yeah, I've migrated away from that. I mean, nothing get it. I love it, but it's just I had to migrate away from it for multiple reasons. But not to do a shameless plug, but if you take a look at like the Meduto Effect videos that I've got on YouTube as a channel, I'm using that same software just so that you can, you know, when we talk offline, you can kind of get a feel.
Sorry, I'm dealing with Dave right now too.
No worries.
Next, I want to kind of preview it right now, but next hour I want to talk about the convention you guys were at in Toronto. Can you give us a sum up of what it was? I know I was talking to Allison about it, and I'm pretty excited to hear about it.
Yeah, I did a lecture there, but as far as the people that were there, everyone, honestly, I didn't know anyone there when I got there other than a few that we talked online with. And it honestly felt like after the first, well, not even after the first day, within the first couple hours, like you had just reunited with a bunch of old friends. It was that, the atmosphere, the energy there, everybody's willingness to share knowledge without the ego, concept. It was truly amazing, and it's an amazing place. Mythwood Campgrounds is truly awe-inspiring.
And this was an occult conference? Go into detail of what it was and what you were teaching a lecture on.
Well, my lecture was on magical applications and paranormal investigations, and it was focusing on frequency and time differences. And it was kind of a rundown, a very limited rundown, because I only had an hour to speak on it. That could have gone for literally 4 hours, but it was That was what my lecture was on, and it was on, mostly it was, to be quite honest with you, it's really a case of perceptions. And so we went through, I had some examples in my, I'm going to actually be posting the lecture before the end of the week on that channel I was mentioning a minute ago. But as far as the other lectures, they were all very informative, very open. It was several different types of paths there, from psychics to Wiccans to high ceremonials to historians to, it was really, really absolutely fascinating. I have a full library of these type of books, and having the same people, the people that some of their names are on these books, sitting around just casually talking about these things was, amazing, really.
And what all do you study with the occult?
We're
going to go into it next hour, so let's get ready.
Pick a subject. Just tear up a bunch of pieces of paper and put a name on it. 37 years experience and in that field, and I've assisted in several books, and in the past I've run several organizations, always staying kind of in the background, but this is the first time I've really come out in the public like this, this hard and heavy. But it's really, and Allison probably said it best. She sat in the majority of the lectures, and she said in these lectures that she learned even more about me because she heard all these different little phrases and all these different paths, something that I may use or I have referred to. So,
do you yourself follow witchcraft and Wicca and that stuff, or do you identify with
well,
any of that?
Means, and that's. I want to quote I have a poster hanging up in one of the shops in Regina. I said, "Do not let the path define you. You define the path." I'm not a believer in placing myself into a genre. I used to be a musician. Well, you're once a musician. You're always a musician. But I was an accomplished, performing musician. And I used to just really get annoyed by every time you had to register your music, you had to pick a genre. And, sometimes you just don't feel like you fit into one. And I'm going to stick to that and say I don't fit into a specific category. I really don't.
I think the best summary would be eclectic occultist. That would be good.
Yeah.
Or sometimes people call him the techno mage.
Yeah. We'll summarize it and say I'm Matt. Yeah.
That's why we just call him the wizard.
Well, I can totally understand why. I mean, when you're packing a goatee like he is right now, I mean, that's just a sense of power, an absolute power beard.
Dave's back.
For sure. He's like Gandalf Jr.
Yeah.
I apologize. I had to step away for a couple of minutes. My cousin called me. He's the godfather of my daughter, and I just had to step away for a couple of minutes to take a phone call there. And like I said to everybody on the air, if you haven't heard and you're just tuning in, I had some bad family news today. My 29-year-old nephew, Bryce, passed away. He had some demons that we were all hoping that he could beat and didn't. So if all of a sudden you hear an extended period of Mike talking, that's because I've stepped away for a phone call and trying to keep family and everybody updated on kind of what's going on. My nephew was my life, and 29 years old is way, way too young to go. Way too young to go. But I thank you I just want to, we're about a minute away from break here. And I just want to say I'm getting a ton of messages from people in the chat rooms and on Facebook and Twitter about sending me love and prayers and everything, thinking of me and my family right now. And it's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Even Ron Bumblefoot THAL reached out to me, our music guy. And that means a lot. That means an absolute lot to have all of you coming in with us and helping out my family here. But tonight we are talking, I mean, we do have a show that goes on, guys and girls. I mean, we do have to make things going here. But we're going to go to break here momentarily on Spaced Out Radio. We are joined on Ghost of the Great White North with Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada out of British Columbia. We are also joined by a team from P.A.S.T. We got Allison Ford, her husband Matt, and Cory Nagy. Great people. And if you've never met anybody from Saskatchewan, you got to reach out. They're some of the most humble and beautiful people you will ever meet in your life. And we're going to go to a break right now. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, joined by Mike Morin in studio. We'll be back right after this.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Coming September 28th to the 30th, it's our first annual Caribou Paracon, put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. 3 days of paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual knowledge in the beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Tickets are $150 Canadian for the event, being held at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Come watch our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Lorian Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, and more. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with the Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm going to take you for a ride every Sunday night on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to set up your week with some strange tales from across North America, from psychic readings, Sasquatch, UFOs, to the most haunted locations. Come join me at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey guys, it's Mike. Are any of you guys still there?
Pacific, midnight Eastern, and let's get weird together.
It is my first time. Well, Dave will be back, but that was my first time ever. Just like, here, you do this. Sorry for the silence.
There's news, and there's the encounter.
What do I do?
This is Spaced Out Radio News Director Everett Thiemer inviting you to check out The Encounter. Our half-hour news segment every Monday through Friday night is different compared to what you're used to. Our goal is to bring you the weird, strange, and interesting stories the mainstream tends to leave out, and stories that will make you scratch your head in disbelief. The Encounter can also be found at spacedoutradio.com and on our Facebook page, SOR The Encounter. Come give us a read.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm totally interested in the stuff he does. I had a bunch of questions written down, but when Dave ran out, he took things. And he has a whole new studio in here, like sound mixers, multiple screen speakers. I'm like, what the fuck do I do here?
So, we can do that.
Looking on how to unmute things. I was just sitting beside him, being a nice co-pilot. I like being the co-pilot here. But let's do that. Let's about getting involved in all that stuff.
You can trust in the mainstream media.
And then, do you guys have some good stories, haunts that you guys have been on and experiences? Dave wants to get ready. He wants to do a lot of stories.
Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News.
Oh, stop.
Fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Morin. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Jamie Sexton will be back with the Rebel Planet, where we talk about all the alternative news out there. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network, and we also welcome in everyone listening in on Deep Talk Radio. Great to have you with us for the final 2 hours of the show. Don't forget, you can also check out our archives for free. Yes, free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Amygdaloid. Amygdaloid is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to check out our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more at spacedoutradio.com. The third Wednesday of every month, we bring in Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada to join us as we talk ghosts of the Great White North, some of the paranormal happenings in the paranormal, the occult happening right here across Canada and into the United States. Tonight, we are joined by a team from the province of Saskatchewan called P.A.S.T. We are joined with Allison, Matt, and Cory. Great people. Absolutely great people. And, you know, they even have a television show that broadcasts in Saskatchewan. So, Mike, glad to, you know what? I'm really glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too, but you should have told me that it wasn't muted during your commercials.
Well, you know what? I have a little bit more on my mind right now. I do apologize. So if you accidentally heard Mike during the commercials, that's because he wanted to talk with our guest, thought he had to turn the mic mute button off. Well, that's why you heard him.
I was fiddling with your soundboard. I thought I had it all figured out.
Yeah, no, don't touch the buttons, Mike. Don't play with the buttons. I know they're pretty colors, but don't play with the buttons.
Allison sounds like you.
Yeah, no kidding. No, you know, he's like, what does this button do?
Exactly what I did.
Exactly. So anyways, right before the break, we were talking about, you know, the way things go and the way we are investigating and how people can really learn on and the techniques and everything. But, you know, Cory, I want to start with you on this one, if you don't mind. You know, a lot of people wonder, especially our listeners down south, whether or not, you know, Canada is really haunted because we have so few people up here comparatively to the United States. How haunted is the province of Saskatchewan?
Quite a bit, actually. We do have quite a history up here, and we do get a number of phone calls all the time for us to come out to a location and just check it out. We've had battles in this province. We've had you know, tragedies happen in this province, and, you know, the paranormal is tied to a lot of things just like that. So it is quite a haunted place. All of Canada is. The whole planet is. It's not just stuck in the United States. It's only an imaginary line in the dirt that separates us, and I don't think spirits really care that it's there.
What kind of battles were there?
Well, there was that, it was the Louis Riel battle that happened here. It was up north. It was just south of Prince Albert, actually.
Guys, I want to get your opinion on something, okay? And, you know, I'm as you guys know, I'm feeling quite emotional right now. And, you know, a few months ago, back in April, your province was absolutely rocked by the tragedy of the Humboldt Broncos Hockey Club, whose bus was hit by a semi-truck, killing 16 people on the bus, including 10 players under the age of 21. And there have been reports about psychics going to the spot, trying to make things or get some communication. There have been reports about even people conducting some sort of paranormal investigations there, whether that's just rumor or true, I am not sure. But Allison, I want to start with you, just in regards to that tragedy and the way things happened there. You know, have you heard the same things happening there? And what's the opinion of the Saskatchewan paranormal field about that?
I personally haven't heard of anybody going out to that location. Honestly, I don't really think it's personally in very good taste. You know, it's really raw, and it's really raw for a lot of people right now, and I honestly don't, you know, unfortunately, tragedy brings out predators, and unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of that in Saskatchewan right now as well. There's, you know, I call them kind of like spiritual predators, because they, you know, they look at a tragedy, they look at this thing, and it's kind of like, well, you know, huge tragedy happened, and this, you know, person who is a psychic medium goes out and says, hey, I can connect all to, you know, to all these people for a fee or for whatever, you know, and take advantage of them that way. Personally, I wouldn't even consider going out there to try to do an investigation to, try to, talk with, whoever could still be there. I honestly wouldn't think that would be in good taste. So, and I think a lot of people would probably agree with me on that. And I know who's to say in the future it might not be a location where people might try to do that. But again, I personally don't feel that would be in good taste.
Do you mind if I jump in here, Allison?
I would love for you to jump in, Cory. I know
Okay,
I'm not
I was
Allison,
actually-
but I'm just as pretty.
Oh, that's for sure. We know that. I'm having a hard time not flirting with you.
Oh, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah, it's Matt's beard. I got to stay loyal to him, though. Sorry. Anyways, back onto that subject. It's quite serious. I was there. I was actually at the location about 2 weeks ago, Canada Day long weekend. And I did speak with a few people from that area, and they have confirmed with me that there have been people up there trying to connect. And they've been doing it for a fee, and they're just spiritual vultures is what they are. They're doing it for their own notoriety, their own fame, and they're in it for the wrong reasons. It was a tragedy that happened here. It's still quite fresh. And personally, I think it's one of those sites that should just be left alone for many, many years before anybody even tries to touch it. It's like a lot of these teams that are out there, like when Anthony Bourdain died, and Robin Williams, and just a few of the other celebrities that are out there that have passed on. Immediately when the news broke of them, these teams are out there with their ghost box and their SB11s and their tape recorders claiming that they've captured their voices. And they're just doing it to seek the fame.
And I'm actually surprised that and this is good information, because I'm actually kind of sickeningly surprised that this is going on. And is it just psychics that are there that are trying to communicate with the families to pass messages, or is there actual paranormal teams there, Cory? Because I thought it was only a rumor, and I'd heard the rumor, but I didn't know how true it was.
I did hear that there was a team there. I'm not sure what team it was. I do have a good feeling I know which team it was, but I can't say their name. But yeah, I disagree with it completely. They shouldn't be touching it. But yeah, there was a paranormal team up there. There's been psychics there, mediums. So there's been a variety of people there. And then there's just been the community's been out there protecting the site and, chasing some of these people away. And I mean, that's great. But these people are also giving the credible people in our fields a bad name.
Well, do me a favor. If you find out with 100% confirmation who they are, you let us know, because I want that story, and I want to expose them for the frauds and the jerks that they are.
Lack of respect.
Yeah, and I mean, I got to be honest with you guys. I still have hockey sticks sitting by my front door just in case the kids need to play a game and they're short sticks. I just can't take them in. I walk by those sticks every day. I just cannot take them in and put them away. I know a lot of people have, but I haven't. It just seems like they're sitting or leaning against right by my Canada flag outside. And the fact that somebody would be so selfish to try and take advantage of this for the sake of a bloody EVP, no wonder the mainstream and people hate us. That is disgusting.
We've even had teams go to locations and fabricate stories and conditions, and we've once again, we won't say their name, but because of it, then they did it in a manner that they could profit off of it. So it's, like you said, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, respect, and, let's drop the ego, because it's not going to, elevating the self-ego is only for yourself, no one else.
No, it's thoroughly disgusting. And like I said, if you guys find out who did that, I will put my show's name on the line, okay, to expose them for the idiots and the frauds that they are. And I would absolutely appreciate doing that, because for anybody to take advantage of some sort of tragedy for a ghost hunt, okay, especially so fresh, and the pain is so fresh in everybody's minds, that's disgusting. I mean, Steve Huff is one of them from Huff Paranormal on the ITC, who is the guy who goes and tries to get all the celebrities, and he's been actually outed as a fraud recently again. And I just think it's fully disgusting. It's fully disgusting. And the paranormal field, okay, whether it's us here in British Columbia, a show like ours, a team like Mike's, or anybody across Canada and North America, should be able to know who these idiots are who are performing this. I mean, this is ridiculous, guys. I mean, it's more so, I mean, never mind just the black eye on the paranormal community that this happens, right? When we're struggling for credibility as it is, but to take advantage of this situation just because it's high profile. I mean, these people, I wish there was laws involved, or some sort of paranormal group laws that, or board of governors or something, that they could have their license or revoked or something. I mean, I realize that it can't happen and there isn't anything like that, but it's thoroughly disgusting. And have you guys had any, and Cory, I'll bring you back in here for a second on this because you're the one who heard about this, but have you guys had any repercussions whatsoever because of this tragedy and what this idiot team is doing?
Not because of this tragedy, no. We haven't posted anything about it other than we were showing our support. We posted up the, put your sticks outside, and we've done nothing but, give our thoughts and our prayers, and that's about as far as we'd go. Even when I was on the site, I wouldn't take a picture. I wouldn't take a video, not a recording, nothing.
No, I don't blame you for that. And, I'm sure the emotion at that intersection where the accident happened, I'm sure the energy there is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
It is. It's quite phenomenal. It's something that you just can't explain. It's an experience. That's for sure.
Well, I know, like where Mike and I were, I mean, it was 53 years after this crash site, okay, after this crash. And even being there, the emotion that you felt from seeing the parts of the airplane on the ground. I mean, a lot of people will say, hey, Dave, aren't you being a little bit contradictory here? Giving these people crap. In the meantime, you're at a plane crash. But there's 53 years in between. For some, that's a lifetime.
I'm both way too soon.
Dave, can I give you a real brief story of, it'll probably get your hackles up?
Sure, please do.
We were asked to go in to check out this location. They didn't know, well, they've been told they had demonic possession, they had a portal in their home, been told over and over and over. So they asked us to come in, and so like Allison said, we do an initial interview. So in this interview, we found out other teams, between sidekicks, paranormal teams, everything, have taken this family for close to $3,000 and even accused their autistic child of being needing an exorcist. So, and once again, it's going to be shortened without all the elaborate details. A 2-hour interview and just a basic conversation with everyone in the family. We were able to walk out without one single piece of equipment being pulled out. We did do a sweep of the house just to check, but for the most part, it was just a communication and
What were the details on that file or case, if you could go into them?
Do we still have you guys? Cory, are you there? For some reason, seems like Skype has all of a sudden decided to crash on us. Because we don't hear you guys. We're going to call you right back here. Bear with me. Bear with me. We're going to call you right back. We're going to get back here 1 second, guys, because Skype all of a sudden has decided that it wants to be a little finicky. We don't know why, but we're going to try and get things going. Now, aren't you glad, Mike, that I didn't step out at this time?
Oh, my God, have you stepped out at this time? Oh. Crash and burn.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. We're just trying to get them back here on Skype. But, I mean, could you imagine, everyone, like, let's be honest here. Could you imagine the idea of you know, having these sorts of people in the paranormal field out there who are, you know, literally trying to communicate after a tragedy like that? I mean, we saw it with the Cosentinos when that hit in our own paranormal backyard, which was a murder-suicide. And we found out about the story that Sandra Cosentino had, you know, been beaten by her husband and eventually killed by him. And that was terrible for the community as it is. I mean, Mike, I mean, it's terrible when we have things like that happening.
I absolutely agree. And I don't agree with trying to communicate with, be it freshly... Oh, we're back.
Mm-hmm. We got Allison back and Matt back. We're going to try and add in Cory here right now, so just bear with us here for a moment here. But, you know, Mike, you were saying just in regards to these tragedies, I mean, there are a lot of people who try and take advantage of this in the paranormal field.
I agree with, like, these ghost boxes trying to contact freshly dead celebrities. I wouldn't do that. I think it's a lack of respect and way too soon. I get it. Like, I hear people trying to contact Elvis Presley and all that, but he's been gone for quite some time. But people like Anthony Bourdain or other celebrities who commit suicide horribly, contacting them the day of or the day after, I think is absolutely disrespectful. Same with Humboldt. I couldn't even imagine. That stuff doesn't even cross my mind as an investigator.
Mm-hmm. We have Cory and Allison and Matt back from P.A.S.T, Saskatchewan. And, you know, I apologize for the Skype snafu there, guys, but we seem to have everything back under control here. Sometimes Skype just needs a quick reset. And, you know, we got that done. So in regards to it, Matt, Mike had asked you a question in regards to the parameters of that case and what really seemed to set things off.
Well, with that one, what the eye opener for us is that two individuals in the house were actually gifted, and because they were both picking up on each other's strife, I guess you'll say, it was created. They were actually manipulating and manifesting energies in the home. So it was not a case of a haunting, it was a self-manifestation, which, you know, that happens a lot when you have projected will. And my very first investigation in 1987 or 88, whatever that was, back then it was a little hazy. It was a kid manifesting the entity in the home. It wasn't an actual physical ghost. So in this case, that's what actually was creating the friction. The child was having problems in school, coming home frustrated, felt like didn't talk. The mother wanted to understand what was going on, getting frustrated with that. And it just once we actually just sat down and talked to everybody, we were able to determine this is something else. So we just did a quick test with the Zener cards, and it proved to be valid. And pretty much so it said more communication in the home, and we left.
Oh, that's terrible. That is absolutely terrible and disgusting. I hate hearing stories like that in regards to it. Matt, we want to stick with you because Mike really wanted to get into some of the occult stuff that you have been working with in regards to it. So I'm going to pass the microphone over to Mike here.
Yeah, just how did you get into it? That's what I want to know. first?
Well, my brother was 17 years older than me, and he was very eclectic, and he exposed me to a lot of things that kind of helped build the foundation. Even in high school, I was nicknamed the Mystic, and it was I just never stopped studying and practicing and learning, and positive people around me that could help me grow.
Is there a place on that when it comes to the occult that you like to work thoroughly with? Is it seances? Is it channeling? Is it, anything to do with trying to grab that extra piece of communication?
Well, I'm the gadget guy. Not necessarily sites, I guess you'd say. I do reach out to certain individuals. Also, I have a vast library of books, a collection from an old collection. Just old. But can I give you an idea how I think outside the box a little bit with the occult?
Absolutely.
And I just want to tell you about the latest gadget. The latest gadget is, I nicknamed it the Paradox. Now, the Paradox is based off of a crystal oscillation circuit. Now, for those that don't know, crystal oscillation circuits are in everything. Your cell phone, your computer, and what it does is it provides timing on every circuit. So all the data knows when and where it has to be. And it's basically a really, really thin quartz crystal. Keep that in the back of your head. Where voltages pass through it. The frequency goes through, and it'll provide a 5 hertz to 16 hertz to 32 hertz, actually, in some cases. But anyway, the point here is that it provides timing. So I took that idea, and I used pretty much, I put a Tesla coil in a core, and I have 4 quartz crystals on the outside. Now, what that does is it passes voltage over the top of these crystals. Now, because they're raw quartz crystals, they're different thicknesses and diameters, so they produce different timings, which we measured with the tri-field. So we're using a DC pulse generator. Now, if you have different times at a singular location, by definition, that's called a paradox. So that's why I nicknamed it the Paradox. Now, the question is why? Now, this is 500,000 volts that is generating DC. The concept here is that since we don't know the timing across the veils, which is a great, wonderful mystery, whether your definition of veils is worlds, dimensions, whatever, airs, planes, it literally is in layman terms, like a spiritual metronome, because the crystals, even their different thicknesses, start to sync up, and they'll be firing off at different times, and then you'll start hearing them slow down, then they'll fire off at the same time. So the concept here is, on the occult side of it, is looking at the realm beyond our universe, which is what most occultists look at, and at the same time, it's in the physical universe, in the sciences of crystal oscillation, Tesla coil, and a lot of voltage, which hurts when you're making it.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
We get Cory to test it after.
I've only gone blind once.
Do you have any spare ones you could send me to try? It sounds pretty intriguing.
I also have a separate device called, we nicknamed it the Anubis Gate. It's two different formats. One, I actually took an Egyptian jed and made it an 8-side, so I can use ancient Egyptian design, but modernize it, and it has the same core. So to answer your question, those are at 1,000,000 volts. I would not feel comfortable mailing these. However, I just don't want that knock at the door, if you catch my drift. And
that could get up.
Yeah, I just got my citizenship. I mean, come on. Now, don't push it. I don't want to lose it.
Extra awkward then.
But, yeah, however, I'll be more than happy to send you the designs for it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I would be totally into looking at that. Do you incorporate this tool into your investigations often?
Not all the time, but yes, there are some times where we have incorporated it because the plasma field around, like the Anubis gates, it reacts to pressure changes and density of the air and also static field. So you'll see the plasma field around the tip of it. And so when you start getting more and more activity, we notice that the pressure in the air changes, which should be expected. But when that changes, the plasma field actually starts adjusting. You'll start hearing more popping, static, blah, blah, blah. But it's but we use it to energize the air to give the entities. And actually, Allison is the one that kicked all this off when she came up with the idea that everybody's focusing too much on electromagnetic, and because you always see on the TV shows, whatever, you've been on an investigation, all of a sudden you get a battery drain. Well, your batteries are DC, not EM, and so obviously something must be wanting it. So we provide it.
So it's kind of, I'm interpreting this as kind of like an EMF pump, electromagnetic
No.
pump? No?
Only as a DC. It's pretty much ionizing the air. It's only, literally if I cut on one of the Anubis gates, you'll feel the rush of ions, the air rushing out.
You can smell the ozone.
Yeah. And in my application, to add to that, is how you always have increased activity after lightning strikes?
Yes.
So that's why these are operating like this, is to simulate after a lightning strike and also to provide a safe environment unless you're Cory and stick his hand inside of it.
Or a moth.
I've
or
done that a couple times.
Sounds like you've had a few horror stories with that.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about one?
Well,
sure.
First
Why
one
not?
I created made out of wood, so he had every chance he could to put his hand in it.
Yeah, we were actually testing that one at a site that we frequented quite a bit. We ran a little tour thing through one of the local hotels that have been known to have a lot of activity in it. So we were actually allowed to test all of our equipment in this location, and we were testing the new device there, which I pretty much dubbed like Allison's original design is like a Red Bull for ghosts, but Matt's new design is more like a Jaeger bomb. And quite a bit, yeah. And as we're testing it, we were catching quite a bit of stuff with the one camera, and the K2s were going off quite a bit. And I decided, well, I wonder how much this actually does hurt. So I kind of stuck my finger in there, and we were live streaming this on our Facebook page. And everything kind of went white for a second, and I almost hit the floor and peed myself. But it was rather painful.
And you guys have
that was the last one.
You have YouTube footage of this, yeah?
I don't know, Matt, is that on YouTube or is that just on the Facebook page?
Just on the Facebook page, but however, I am gonna, when I put my presentation on the YouTube channel for the Medutu effect, it'll actually have a few examples of the paradox and the Anubis gate. Also, I have examples using the floor measuring someone, it was myself transferring energy, so it was actually visible, and so to show that the impact that we have on our environment.
I actually want to ask you, but you guys were talking about the battlefields in Saskatchewan earlier, the Louis Riel one. Have you guys investigated that one?
Not yet, not to date. It's a historic location, and it's tough to get on. We would need the permission from the government of Canada to actually do the investigation there. And it is such a huge location. We would need a really big crew and probably about 3 or 4 days there to do it.
Yes, that does. It's pretty big. I've been there once. I drove out to Winnipeg once and did the Riel tour.
Okay.
Allegedly, I'm related to him. I think everyone in Saskatchewan and Manitoba says that, though.
Yeah, we do find that a lot, but we do, however, track down a direct descendant of Gabriel Dumont and one of Louis Riel.
Interesting. Have you guys done any historic haunts out there? Like I know Dave and I, we've hit obviously his barn. We've done a lot of the Gold Rush Trail historic haunts. BC seems to be okay with us going there. How about you guys?
One of our most recent ones we did. It did actually have quite a bit of history to it. It was the Sookenan Ship Museum. It's a heritage site here in Saskatchewan, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Sookenan story.
Paint us a picture. It sounds cool.
Yeah, it was a really cool place. We did catch quite a bit of stuff there. It has a great history, and we'll actually be revisiting that site this year sometime.
It's actually it's a park just outside of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and what they have done is they've actually brought buildings onto the site. Originally, the museum was constructed for a ship, and Mr. Sookenan had actually built a ship in Saskatchewan. He wanted to sail to the ocean back to Europe, where he was originally from, by taking the different rivers. He actually completely charted it out, and he was extremely intelligent and also very, talented and gifted with his crafting. So there's actually the ship that he built to do this. He wasn't able to he passed away before he was able to do that, but it kind of inspired them to conserve more history. So they've brought in buildings from all over different parts of Saskatchewan, and they've conserved them. There's actually the Diefenbaker homestead from Mr. Diefenbaker's family that's actually on the site as well. So there's, quite a bit of, there is famous history as well as, just conserving our own history from the Europeans coming over and farming. And also, it's a great place. I always said I'd love to investigate there because, again, it's the perfect storm. You have all these buildings with, rich, a lot of people have, lived in, worked in, could have died in, and also quite a number of artifacts. So again, being, an investigator, you're looking for, there could be residual energies on these artifacts or in these buildings. So again, it was, we caught quite a bit of history, and we definitely need to investigate that location further.
What sorts of experiences did you have there, and what kind of evidence did you capture?
I was waiting on everybody else. Sorry.
Same here, yeah.
No, it's we got anywhere from let's see, holy crap. That's one of those things that you have the EVP. It's kind of like a full smorgasbord, to be quite honest with you, and including in the episode I went ahead and included, well, we went all over the place chasing this anomaly noise that had us, 1 minute it's over here, next minute it's in another building. It kind of kept moving around. We followed it around for about a good 30 minutes. And you know what it turned out to be? It's actually quite horrifying, and it's, I just hope the listeners are sitting down, but it turned out to be raccoons, not ghosts. But anyway.
Raccoons, they get you 60% of every time.
Yeah. But yeah, you know what? We left it.
Yeah, we caught some really great EVPs.
And the camera footage we got.
Yeah.
There was, we won't even say, it was just called a free form, where it passes in front of, excuse me, one of the IP cameras, and, you know, and there were moths out there and whatnot, but oddly enough, me and Cory were in the same room, and we didn't, there wasn't anything, so Cory and I kept trying to debunk it because all the IP cameras have two-way mics on them. So as soon as somebody in the command center sees something, you know, and it's recorded, they should give us a shout-out in the room, and then we try to debunk it. You know, is it paint flaking? Is it this, a light reflection? Because you are dealing with IRs and full-spectrum lighting. But also, there's a lot of personal experiences on top of that. So, you know, where people would hear the voices in the other room, hear the footsteps. But kind of going back to something, Dave, you said a while back about technology being used. And Cory, I'm going to have to quote you. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the best tool is yourself. You know, yeah, we have a full arsenal of equipment, but at the end of the day, we are the best, you know, piece of equipment. The other pieces, their technology is there to validate what you're sensing and what you're feeling, and that's the way we look at it.
I 100% agree with you. I go with my gut before the tools.
Yeah.
You just kind of know there's a change in energy. That's how I investigate. I have all the fancy pants tools too. Just bought myself a Paranormal Puck 2. Pretty cool device.
Mm-hmm.
Expensive to import, but worth it. I tried it out. I tried it out actually at an old sanitarium in Washington, and it gave us some pretty cool responses. We were at in a barn, and way back in the day, the barn was used. It had cattle in it, and I was skeptical of this device because it was human error, I'll be honest. My iPhone's always on mute. And I'm like, this thing's not talking. It's supposed to talk, allegedly. It's because the mute button was on. So I turned it off mute. I almost sent it back even. Yes, blonde moment. But I was in the barn, and the guys I was with, one of them goes, if this thing actually works, what kind of animals were in here? And this thing spat out the word cattle.
Wow.
And my bottle just popped when I said that. Weird. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's a pretty cool device. I trust my gut first, then I go audio recorder, and then video recorder, and then all the fun stuff.
I'd like to add to that. It's kind of neat too, and when we're all together as a team and we go into a space, we start to, it's almost like we kind of start to sync up with what we're feeling, the energies in the room, I guess. But, you know, all of a sudden, it's almost like we start feeling, okay, there's something, present with us, there's something going on with us. And as soon as, we'll feel that, but as quickly as we all feel that, we also feel sometimes when the activity is ceased as well, because we'll kind of start, Cory will look at me and I'll look at him or look at Matt, and, we'll just say, you know what, we're not feeling it. We're not feeling anything happening right now. And so we move on. We move ourselves to maybe a different part of the, on location. We'll move somewhere else. We'll try something different. And yeah, it is. It's that gut feeling you get. And I think part of it is, we've all maybe individually are able to do that, but also as a group we start to kind of tune in together to do that. So it's something that you definitely have to incorporate. You can't always rely on the tech. You have to also use your intuition as well.
Yeah, to go back to that is usually I'm in the command center, but initially, and let's say like you're in a location and you feel like something's watching you and everything else, but you're not getting any hits or anything. And even on the on-spot review, that's when Cory comes in the command center and says, "Okay, we're out. Matt, go do your stuff." And I don't usually, the first thing I don't carry is the Anubis Gate, and the Paradox, or none of that equipment. I go in, me personally, and get a feel for the area first. And I carry 1 minute I may have like a pack full of batteries in one pocket, and I got a pouch full of different types of incenses that I make personally, and and I'll blend them in the trailer, for that purpose.
Do you guys go in? You just said you carry incense with you, and what do you use those for? And what do you use them for? And what do you put in it?
Well, sometimes it's there. Holy crap! I'll give you a few examples. I'm at a location. I'm on we're out in Callis, for example. The first thing I do is make an offering saying thank you for allowing us to be here.
It's really
it's at another location. It was a sanatorium. A lot of people had died there, and paid my respects with an offering using the incense. Every location is different. Willow is great to burn near, say, for example, we was at a location with a cemetery right next to it. We weren't there to investigate the cemetery. We're there to investigate the location. So, out of respect, Willow is well known for burning respect to the dead. So, I did that on the reserve. I'm making a special blend for, let's say, for example, tobacco. Well, because of this particular location, had tobacco and willow and lavender. It really depends on the locations, and it's always done out of respect to say thank you for allowing us to be here. And to go back what we previously said, when we leave a location, we always say thank you. It's a respect thing.
Hey, guys, I'm going to kind of change the topic here as I kind of jump in and steal the microphone back from Mike. But have you ever dealt with anything in regards to portals in the area? And, I know the prairies of Canada have a lot of First Nations energy and a lot of First Nations history there. Do you think that has any play into any type of portal type aspect? Because I know here in British Columbia, on top of the mountains here, where it's a little bit more volcanic, there seems to be portals absolutely everywhere around here, and the spiritualists and the First Nations talk about them quite a bit if you can get them talking on the subject.
Yeah, the one we mentioned before, that was thought of being a portal. And it may be a case of definition, because to people like me, as an individual, portal has a different definition, as, say, First Nations versus anybody else. It just kind of goes from different definition, But, there's going to be a huge announcement coming out soon of something going on in September, and I'll leave it on a suspense rail right there. Oh, sorry,
I don't like that at all, my friend.
There's a huge announcement that's going to be coming out for September. Cory, you think I'm safe to say bring it up, or?
Yeah, I like how you're dropping hints.
Well,
I do.
Well, we're going to have to bring you back on Ghosts of the Great White North to fill us in when that happens.
Well, if you kind of watch the Meditu effect, you'll get an idea of what's going on. Because the Meditu effect is a piece of, really technically, it's a piece of past. It's just what more on the metaphysical and that realm that I work on, my new crazy ideas and theories, and also it kind of fills in the blanks of what we can explain in the shows. But I made the announcement at Occulticon, and there are a lot of people very excited to see what the results will be.
Yeah, but
go ahead, Cory.
I was going to say, just to circle back to the reserve aspect here. When we were out there, we didn't so much as encounter more of a portal, but more spiritual animal. When we were there, we did have that encounter. We did have a few. We also had a moment too where me and Matt were just too dumb to realize to actually lift up a camera and start recording something. So we did have a few moments out there that were quite spiritual.
Well, define that, because, I mean, you can't tease us with the spiritual stuff, can you?
Well, okay, I'll play into it. As we were progressing throughout the investigation, we were starting to discover more and more that it wasn't so much as the location as it was the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt and Allison were inside her home, and they were counseling her, and they're speaking with her. And I was out in the trailer. I was just kind of reviewing footage. I was out by myself, and this was, I don't know, close to midnight. And all of a sudden, I hear like a loud sniffing outside the trailer, and like something bumped it. And I'm like, what the hell was that? That was a big critter. And I'm listening, and it turned out that it was a bear out there. So I kind of gripped the door of the trailer, and I'm not going to lie, I was in the trailer. I was a little nervous. I thought, the back door of the trailer is open. All it's going to take is for this thing to pull it down, and then I'm going to jump up the side door and run in the house, if I can. And I waited a few moments, and I could hear this thing moving around the trailer and sniffing, and I figured, okay, I'm going to make a break for it, and I'm going to get in the house. And I kind of bulldozed my way through the door of the home, and I let them know what was happening, and they all started kind of laughing at me because I'll let Matt and Allison explain the conversation that they were having.
Well, so Matt and I were talking to the client, and we were doing EVP session with her. And, sometimes we'll just say, we don't like to antagonize spirit or anything, but sometimes we'll just say, can you give us a sign, or can you do something? Can you knock on something? Can you do something really big? Can you do something really big? And then through the SP, was it EVP, like through the SP11, I believe, it said big. Really, yeah, big, like really loud. And then basically just following that, it was, Cory running into the house in a sweat, freaking out, and we're saying, what is going on? And, there's a bear outside, So, yeah, it was amazing. Like, it was so funny. We, we're kind of, laughing, but at the same time, Cory was, obviously in distress. But if you want to back it up a little bit, just, a quick background to that was on the reserve, families chosen to actually go and take a bear once a year, or I don't know how many times a year, but the families chosen, and they had a bear on their property that they were baiting to actually go and take, and basically the elders will use what they want from it for medicines, for spiritual work, and then the family gets to keep the bear after the fact. And when we actually realized that it wasn't a real bear outside, and we had confirmation from the family that they had been seeing the spirit of the bear on their property, our client actually laughed and said, "Oh, that's kind of funny because the bear is still here." And we looked at her and we were saying, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said, "Oh, he's over there in the freezer." They still had the actual bear in their freezer, and so it was quite comical. But I mean, it was an amazing place. You know, I don't know how you could say, you know, that there was a. We didn't really encounter any portals per se, but we encountered everything from, you know, animal spirit to the, you know, people that, you know, were once, you know, that were once human, obviously, as well as it could be elemental spirit, could be even fairies, you know. Little people. Matt and Cory are sitting there looking out at a bush at all these lights going on, and then they're trying to figure out what's going on, realize that there is no lights around there. It's pitch black. There's nothing behind it, thinking, wow, this is amazing. Wow, why don't we have a camera on it? Yeah.
On that note, we're going to go to our final break of the night. We have 30 minutes left with P.A.S.T. Saskatchewan on Ghosts of the Great White North with me, Dave Scott, and Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada. And we're going to get into more paranormal stories. And then Everett Themer from The Encounter. And the news of the day, the weird, the wacky, the WTF at the bottom of the hour. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
The first annual Caribou Paracon is happening September 28th to 30th in the 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Brought to you by the Canadian Society of Questers and Spaced Out Radio. Come listen to our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Elizabeth Anglin, Paisley Town, Mike Morin, Eric Cooper, and more. It's a 3-day supernatural adventure at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Tickets for the weekend are $150 Canadian. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us and bring your questions for us to investigate right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
When it comes to the news, we look for the stories that the mainstream won't cover. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter. This is News Director Everett Thiemer. The Encounter is about the weird and strange stories that occur daily, and we scour the world looking to bring them to you. You can hear me with Dave Scott every Monday through Friday in our Encounter news segment. Read us online at spacedoutradio.com or check us out and give our Facebook page a like at SOR The Encounter. So come give The Encounter a read.
From the mile-high state of Colorado, sharing our signal around the world, I invite you to Spaced Out Sundays. Hi, I'm Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm closing out the week by taking you on a paranormal journey to the world of the weird. Ghosts, aliens, psychic phenomena, I will hit it all in your questions too. So let us highlight the paranormal for you. So come join me for Spaced Out Sundays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night, we take a look at the alternative news as Jamie Sexton is back with The Rebel Planet. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. We say hello to everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and on Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, if you're looking for our archives, you want to check out our previous shows, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, amygdaloid. Amygdaloid is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, space travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you check out our website, spacedoutradio.com, we got a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. We do have more coming in the near future. For the final time tonight, we introduce the group from P.A.S.T, Saskatchewan. We got Cory, Allison, and Matt joining us for the next half an hour before Everett Thiemer hops in for the news of the day on the encounter. Welcome back.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also got Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada sitting right beside me, looking as handsome as ever. And I say that very, very loosely, extremely loosely. But nonetheless, you know, guys, we all have those stories. We all have those hauntings, those what the hell type moments when we are in the field and that we just cannot explain. Allison, take us through a couple of stories, if you wouldn't mind, that have absolutely blown your mind during investigation.
Well, I hate to go back to the calluses, but that was awesome because we had such a diversity of paranormal activity. So again, we had the animal spirit. We had a spirit of people that were once human. We had possible elemental spirit. We had possible little people, and that was quite fascinating. I think too, a lot of times it's not so much in the moment when I'm investigating, but after going through the evidence and seeing what we captured, and, you know, you're just completely blown away after the fact. I mean, just recently, one of my most, actually, it'll be in the next season coming up, but I was actually in a friend's house that I've known for many years, and we actually caught the proverbial ghost in sheet. It looks like it's wearing a sheet, and I couldn't believe it. I sent the picture to Cory, sent it to Matt. I said, this looks like a ghost in a sheet. And we actually went back to the location. We did everything we could to try to recreate. It was actually caught on an IP camera, but we tried everything we could to recreate the image, and we couldn't. So, you know, of course, it was funny, but also just really like, what? And, you know, maybe is that what somebody had saw originally, was a ghost in the sheets? And
I got to ask, is this a ghost playing the part of a ghost? Like, did you get a photograph or a video of this?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. I actually have posted it on the P.A.S.T page, so that's quite interesting. Probably one of my most favorite stories, too, was we were out in a small town in Saskatchewan, Strasbourg, right? I think. Anyway,
yes.
We'd gone in there, and, I mean, the family was awesome. They wanted to work with us, and, you know, they weren't scared or terrified or anything like that, but they wanted to kind of know what was going on. We initially went in there, had a look. The younger daughter was playing with a friend that she called Barb. We were in her room. We saw her. She had, you know, made some drawings on the wall. And, of course, Matt, with his metaphysical background and magic's background, was able to, you know, kind of look at those and do some research. So anyway, we break to go out for pizza. We're like, okay, let's eat before we get started. So the small town, we just find a little pizza joint, and we're all sitting there talking. And, you know, Matt's researching on his phone the sigils that he thought that he saw that were on the wall. And he literally holds up we're all in the booth in the table. He holds up the phone, and he says, Barbatos. And all the power in the entire town goes out, just like that. And, yeah, that was really interesting. But, you know, to speed that ahead, I mean, okay, so later on in the investigation,
non-disclosed location.
Yeah, and at the non-disclosed location, he ends up, calling what he thought was.
Well, no, I was trying to explain to a previous investigator what happened, but she couldn't make it. And while I'm explaining it to her, this location was well known to be a practical joke spirit. And they embrace it. They actually leave notes on the wall. They have a whiteboard, and they actually leave notes saying, "Can you please not leave the cabinet doors open next time?" To it. But so to them, it's just something humorous. They just wanted some type of validation. But so sitting there, and I'm explaining the whole story about what happened in Strasbourg, and while I'm doing it, the lamp to my right dims and turns off, and then comes back on. Then the light above me dims, turns off, goes back on. Then the one in the kitchen dims and turns off and comes back on. And when it did this, of course, this investigator, was already freaked out about the story, but this kind of added validation to the freak out, and the spirit accomplished its ultimate goal, and then she ran down the hallway to go find Allison. So it's, things like that are funny. I like, and just go ahead and short my answer to your question. I've seen scarier things at Walmart, so I'm not exactly. I don't know if it's because I'm over analytical or what. So far I haven't found anything that's just overly scary to me. I found some things that maybe just scratch my head like that. Because a power outage wouldn't cause individual lights to go out. But anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to continue on.
Cory, how about you? What is your favorite investigation or action that you have caught while investigating? Because we all got that one favorite one that just sticks with us.
I actually have a few favorite ones.
Well, we got time.
One of the most recent ones was we were at the Ninette Sanitarium out in Manitoba. Beautiful historic location. Absolutely great. We all had experiences out there. Matt had a little thing going on upstairs, and we were watching him on the camera, and I decided, well, I'm going to go inside and join him. And we were walking around up there on the third floor, and as we were walking around, we passed through this one doorway, which earlier we caught a really good, nice, clear, crystal clear Class A EVP. And as we're walking through the door, I kind of looked into the one room, and I seen an elderly woman sitting in a chair. And I jumped about 3 feet off the ground because I did not expect her to be sitting there just looking at me. And our episode went from family friendly to Jerry Springer within half a second. Because I jumped and I was swearing and cursing. And it just took me right out of my game. It shook me up for the night.
Yeah, the sensor button on that one would have sounded like a flatline in a hospital. It was over the top.
Cory, have you ever had that moment in your investigation and all the times that you've been doing where it's literally rattled you to the point where you question whether or not you were doing the right thing?
No, I haven't. I've questioned my approach in doing it, but I feel like the work I'm doing is valid, and I'm sorry. I feel like what I'm doing is valid, and I keep going with the same approach, just out of respect. I'll change my techniques, I'll change my line of questionings, or I'll even change the equipment I use, but nothing's actually shaking me to the point where I just need to get out of the building and not go back in.
How about you, Matt?
No, I've never had that. I've had one of the examples is I was sitting in the room, pitch black dark, was Ninette again, and I had a lighter in my pocket, but I'll just keep that in the back of your head. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, if anybody's in here, can you close the doors? Can you touch me? Can you push me? When I said, can you push me, the lighter in my pocket blew apart. So first thing I do is get the thing out of my pocket, but afterwards I'm looking for any fractures in it or anything like that, or just say what caused it. But I had a rover in the hallway. It was looking behind me. You know how you get that feeling that something's standing behind you, staring at you, and so I turned the rover around, sent it down the hallway, just snapping pictures. And when I brought it back, I opened everything up, take a look right there on the spot, and sure enough, there was somebody standing behind me. And actually, it was two. The repetitive pictures, you see one person, and then after about the second or third, you see a second one standing behind them. Just standing there watching me, probably laughing, at this guy reaching in his pocket, throwing a lighter on the floor. But as far as that goes, then it comes to, I need to take this downstairs to put it on a bigger monitor to validate this and make sure I'm not, matrixing and making stuff up. So once we pulled it up on the monitor, I couldn't even get a chance to come back upstairs because Cory's already run past me.
Allison, have you ever been terrified on an investigation?
Only by me and Cory.
Oh God, no. I always tell people, I've been asked that question so many times, and the only reason I think that I've never been terrified is because when I go on investigation, I get into investigation mode, and I'm really focused on, heightening my senses and listening and, doing all these things. Like I'm in investigation mode, so I don't really get terrified. The only time I've maybe questioned it a couple times was when I was investigating in minus 40-degree weather.
Sorry.
I'm wearing a Canada Goose parka, and I feel like my limbs are going to fall off. But I still did it, and I stayed the whole night because I love it, and I'm passionate about it. And the other time could be when I was covered in like 35, 40 ticks on me, thinking, and then feeling ticks on me for the next few days, that may be like that physical part of it. But I mean, I've always been so, intrigued and just, wanting to communicate, and it's, again, it's not a fearful thing to me, and because we're so passionate and it's so involved in what we do with our everyday lives, I mean, to me, the paranormal doesn't just start when I go investigating at an investigation. It's an everyday thing now. It's just completely encompassed our lives, and it's something we're really passionate about, and you're always looking for the ways to better yourself and help people, and there's a lot of good that you can do with what we're doing. And I'm not trying to convince anybody that these things are real and this is what happens. I can share my experiences, and maybe hopefully that helps people to understand it better. But yeah, again, no, I've never experienced anything truly terrifying. I'm always looking forward to the next experience. And is that to say that I won't be terrified? I honestly can't say that. Again, being in the investigation mode, but, there's just so much out there that we don't know and that we don't understand. And, yeah, I mean, it honestly could happen. I'm not saying that it won't.
I've been terrified on an investigation before. It was probably my first big investigation, I'm using air quotes, that I've ever done. A long time ago. It was this giant historic mansion, and this is what we'll go with, just picture a historic mansion. They all look the same. My previous team, I was known, I'll say it now, because I'm a confident investigator now, so I'll say it now. I used to be known as the runner. You'd hear a mouse fart, and I would run away like a wimp. So I approached this mansion, and the team I was with are like, "You're going in first, rookie." I'm like, "Well, No, I'm not. But I did. I went in, and we were with a medium at the time, and this guy, actually, it was Derek White's guy, Cloud. This guy was like, "You're gonna have an experience." When we were driving up, it was like a 6-hour drive driving with this guy. So he's got a lot of stories. You've heard him on the show. He likes to talk, and he's like, "You're gonna have an experience. You're gonna get scared, but you're gonna learn." I'm like, "Uh-huh." So we get to the mansion, and I was voted off the island first and had to go in by myself. And as soon as I walk in this mansion, it was cold, like the typical cold feeling you get when you're an investigator. But then the door slammed. The other investigators were far away, so it wasn't a prank. The door slammed, and then the frickin' door locked. And then I heard like one of the lights, because old-fashioned lights on the wall rattle a bit. I'm like, oh God, there's going to be a possession. And I was green, so yeah, I thought that crap was going down. But then all of a sudden, the energy got really light, the door unlocked, and it unlatched and started to do that creepy door opening. After that basically broke my paranormal cherry hard. And after that, haven't been quite scared and runner-ish.
It's amazing what can trigger you on an investigation, though. And I think a lot of people who've never been on a ghost tour or a real paranormal investigation fully understand, the aspects of the unknown. I mean, it's always like, Cory, you're on edge waiting for something to happen, isn't it?
Yes and no. Like we always go into an investigation with the mindset of, we would like to find evidence here, but we go in and we take the approach of, we're not looking for the ghosts. We're always looking for more logical explanation. Because we find if we go in looking for paranormal, we're going to find it no matter what. So we don't want to program our minds to be like, everything's a ghost, that's a ghost, that's a ghost, that's a ghost, when 95% of the stuff that we catch, if not more, is explained away logically.
I understand that, but I mean, when you're dealing with clients, let's say you're in someone's business or in someone's home, how are you guys modifying your game plan in order to take care of a residence or business?
Well, it depends on the residence or the business. Like, we walk into every investigation with a game plan, and then we find out that the game plan is useless and we just throw it away. And we go off of instinct, because it's more fluid than, like, an investigation is more fluid than anything else. We kind of follow the entity throughout the house. If there is one, we'll chase it down almost to see where it is. Like, we'll search for the hot spots, and then we'll focus on that area, and we'll try to open up a line of communication first and foremost.
It's also good to know what your client's expectations are too.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, like again, with the interview process, if they're saying, we just want to get rid of it, we just want it out of here, we just want it gone. Well, we're going to sit down and talk with them and say, hey, this is not what we do. This is what we can do for you. And, whether we decide to proceed with investigation or not, that's what we decide. But in the end, and also too, if we show up on location and the client right away is, completely uncomfortable with what we're doing and totally hates it and wants to shut it down, they have every right to do that. So,
what do you prefer, businesses or residential on a personal case, Allison?
It just really depends. I mean, when it comes down to the business aspect of it, and the people that own the business, are okay with us, releasing where we are. Again, we don't get paid for what we do. We want to help support each other and build others up and help build up, local business and that. So, I like the fact that with doing it with the businesses, we can, maybe help promote them in some way. But I also love doing the residential too, because again, it's helping people maybe understand a little bit better about what may be going on, and maybe to take the fear out of the paranormal. And I'm not saying take the caution out of it. I think it's always good to be cautious. But I'm saying take the fear out of it. So if we're going to a situation where we get a phone call and these kids are terrified and or anyone's terrified, and if we can go in there and even just have an interview with them or even do an investigation and leave after that and follow up with the clients and they say, you know what, we're sleeping better. We're just able to function better now that we have a little bit better understanding of what might be going on. I mean, that's everything to us. I can speak for all of us because I know all of us, and that's huge. I mean, it's the education part of it. I mean, we don't have all the answers, but if we can help people in that respect, that's our payback. That's our money right there. That's everything to us.
Discuss that fear, because a lot of people fear the paranormal, Matt, when they are trying to distinguish the experience to them. They don't like it. It's unnatural. So they immediately have a fear with it. How do you tell people to work with that fear and use it to their advantage rather than as a detriment?
Well, I'm horrible about analogies, and so in Regina, Ring Road is not really one of the best roads in the morning commute, so like recently I told somebody, you still got to go to work, but you got to also drive Ring Road, so you face that fear and you overcome it and you make your route. Fear can manifest even worse scenarios. So during the Meduto Effect videos I recently did, and Cory was on that interview, we were talking about how if you get so wrapped up in fear, you can actually manifest a ghost that's not actually there and end up chasing your tail or running away from your own self. We often get fear so wound up in our daily lives that we end up blinding ourselves. I actually use that analogy in another lecture, which is way too long for the time that we have, but fear can inhibit us to learn and grow.
How about you, Cory? How are you defining fear for your clients?
Well, the fear of the unknown, that's just basically it. They don't know what's going on, and they just have a lack of understanding. So we want to bring them that understanding and help alleviate that fear.
Allison?
Again, it's a lot of case of just people are watching way too many paranormal shows on TV, and it's created that fear for them because these shows want to scare you, and that's how they get ratings, and that's how they get people to watch them. And so the show is driving the fear because that's what makes a great show, is to have people scared out of their tree. And unfortunately, that's it's not anyone's fault. It's just what they are interested in, is that what they watch on TV. And to ride on to what Matt says, the manifesting. If you keep watching all these shows about demons and everything's a demon, and all of a sudden you have a picture fly off your wall, and you don't have the education, you don't have the vocabulary, you don't have the knowledge to explain what that was, well, your first instinct is to say it is a demon. And you'll start manifesting that. You'll start, making it bigger than it was. It might not even have been anything paranormal at all. It could have just been something flying off the wall. But fear breeds fear. So if there's one person in the house going around all day long saying, a picture flew off the wall, it's a demon, it's a demon, it's a demon. Well, the next person in the household might be saying, well, I've been having this happen to me. Maybe that's a demon too. And it just keeps breeding and breeding and breeding. And hopefully what we do can help, people say, hey, it's not a demon. It could be this or it could be that. And what we do, hopefully we can help people.
Allison, Matt, and Cory, thank you so much for coming on Ghosts of the Great White North with Mike Morin and myself. Always a pleasure to talk to all three of you, and we got to do it again.
Absolutely. You bet.
Oh, thank you so much.
Not a problem. Coming up next, we got Everett Themer and The Encounter. Every night at this time, we bring in the news of the day, the weird, the wacky, the WTF moments. And that's why we have The Encounter and our intrepid news director, Everett Themer, come on in the bottom half hour of the final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Everett comes in to read us the headlines, the stories of the weird and wacky. If you want to scratch your head over these stories, I highly suggest you do, because a lot of times we're left perking up our eyebrows and saying, are you serious? Everett Themer from The Encounter, welcome on back.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was nice to escape there and listen to some stories for a couple hours.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? And you know what? I got to give a big shout out to Mike Morin, who is literally sitting right beside me, because he bailed me out tonight. He bailed me out tonight a few times. I had family members calling on in and messaging me, and a couple times I just had to catch my breath. So thank you, Mike, for being here and being such a good friend of Spaced Out Radio and myself personally. I appreciate that. And I want to say a big thank you. The messages and the love and the support, the condolences just keep coming in. And I really appreciate it, because my family needs the love right now.
I bet they do. It's a horrible situation when something like that happens.
Yeah. Let's move on. Cheer me up. Give me something to laugh about, Everett. What is wild, wacky, and weird about The Encounter today?
Well, Elon Musk got himself into a little bit of hot water today, over the weekend, after he called Vern Unsworth, one of the divers that was involved in the Thai cave rescue, a pedophile.
Why?
Basically, this Unsworth, who was a key member of the dive team, said that Elon Musk's plan to to send the submarine out to Thailand to go through the cave was just an entire publicity stunt. It had no chance of working. It was just a chance for Musk to get his name in the papers. And Musk fired back with some words in anger and said that he had worked with dive members and engineers that were on the scene and had all the specifications that he needed to try and build this thing to try and help. And instead, he gets basically ripped apart by this diver criticizing him. Musk eventually went on to apologize, saying, towing the corporate line kind of thing, saying that he let his anger and frustration get the best of him. But one of the things is that Musk does not need something like this to create a publicity stunt. He literally said he was going to sell a flamethrower, and the Boring Company then released, albeit a minor flamethrower, but it was technically a flamethrower. So the idea of this being a publicity stunt when he's just trying to offer some help was probably a little bit over the top. But at the same time, you can't go around calling everybody who upsets you a pedophile.
I agree with that, and that is, that's a term that has become very dangerous these days. And for some reason, we always want to call somebody a racist or a pedophile these days. I don't even know how the hell that got into everyday vocabulary, but it is disgusting. But on the flip side, all right, a guy like Elon Musk, there is no way he can ever win. You know what I'm saying, Everett? If he tries to help, somebody's going to make a comment like what happened. And if he doesn't try to help and he's sitting on the technology, the people are going to complain, well, why didn't you do something, billionaire? You don't care for a bunch of poor kids playing soccer?
Exactly. But this Unsworth did sort of push it over the top. When he made his insults, he did suggest that Musk perform a sex act with his submarine. So
yeah, I mean, see, that's just classless. Like, why are we, whether it was a publicity stunt or not, at least the one thing with Elon Musk that we have seen, all right, is he does seem to care. He's done a lot of work in Puerto Rico to help get water and electricity back on, and I'm not sitting here trying to wave the Elon Musk, SpaceX flag or anything like that. But at some point, when do these childish insults stop? I mean, it's ridiculous. We got more things to worry about right now than whether a billionaire is trying to help and everybody's trying to blame him for a publicity stunt over a tragedy. I mean, where was Bill Gates? Where was Paul Allen? Where was George Soros, who apparently loves all of this globalism? Where were they? Nowhere.
Nobody offered anything like this other than Musk. And even Musk came out and said that if it wasn't used or wasn't able to be used in this case, at least it would be available for future situations. At least they had the design, they had the manufacture, they'd run through it. So this thing is there available for another situation. So in a way, it certainly is, I would say, a little bit classless to go and insult him, especially from one of the dive team members. What are you going to do? You're right. I mean, nobody else was doing this, and he is in essentially a no-win situation. But I mean, I think at the same time, maybe nobody would have really responded. He wasn't expected to do anything. And I have a problem with the idea that it was a publicity stunt, in that Musk doesn't need to do a publicity stunt like that. He has plenty of other things, and he's in the news enough.
Exactly.
And he's followed through on so many of the things that he said he's going to do, that a publicity stunt like this doesn't make sense. And I don't think that ever entered his mind.
I agree with you. On that. And, once again, I think in life right now, the way everything seems so volatile the last 2 or 3 years, I think we got to check our vocabulary as well, even if it is Elon Musk. Okay, people are throwing around the words pedophile and racist way too quick these days. Way too quick. And I think it's disgusting. I think, whatever happened to calling somebody an MF or an a-hole? What's wrong with those ones? They're classics. They work. Why do we have to get into these words, and I'm going to call them slang words, okay, for insulting people or trying to immediately kill credibility? Let's just get back to good old-fashioned cursing. Cursing never hurt anybody.
Maybe that's the problem. Or maybe that's what people see as the problem. We've gone from kind of cursing somebody out and it can roll off their back, to now we have to make the attacks personal. And I imagine that some of that has to do with the fact that it's social media. It's easy to make those personal attacks when you're not speaking face to face or on the phone. You know, it's a very impersonal attack. So it's easy to go way too far really very quickly.
I fully agree. The name calling is getting out of hand.
Whatever happened to the good old-fashioned debate classes where you learned how to argue?
Whatever happened to at least showing some respect?
Oh, that went out the window a long time ago.
Well, I realize that, okay? Like, well, I'll be blunt about it, okay? My nephew, who just passed away, I found out about 4 hours ago, 29 years old, he was a drug addict. The demons kept on getting him. He tried a number of times on rehab. Okay, you don't see me calling my nephew a drug addict. You're a drug addict. No, he has a name. I may not like what he was doing, but why call names? Why do we have to insult and try to stab people with our words? Let it go. Grow up. I don't know, man. I know I'm a little overly sensitive today about things, but that story kind of pisses me off. Just get back to calling people good old-fashioned swear words. It's much easier and more fun.
Especially when you just kind of create your own as it rolls off the tongue.
Oh, exactly. I take this as you know, Everett, people not playing sports enough. The beauty of sports is you learn so many cliches with swear words in them. To be able to call people those intricate names that they probably deserve every now and again, that's what we need more. Let's get back to sports and swearing at people rather than calling them disgusting names.
I have to agree with you.
Exactly. Moving on to story number 2. Or what were you going to say before that?
I was just going to say maybe we need to put these two out on the hockey rink.
Oh, that'd be good.
Do they play hockey in England or Britain?
Yes, actually they do. They have a professional league there.
Oh my.
Yes. Yeah.
Who'da thunk it?
I know. Go figure. But nonetheless, enough expats moved over there and said, hey, let's start a hockey league. Let's do it. So that's what they did.
Excellent.
A friend of mine used to coach the Bracknell Bees. Don't ask me where Bracknell is. I know it's somewhere in the UK.
That doesn't even sound like a hockey name.
I know. They had striped uniforms. Looked actually kind of cool.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm. All right, story number 2, my friend.
Well, you know, I love Florida, right?
Yeah, I know you love your Florida.
A Florida woman whose pet spider monkey attacked people at a Home Depot on 2 different occasions has been arrested. She sent an email to the prosecutor and said that she was leaving to North Carolina so that the Florida authorities could not take away her spider monkey. She literally went on the lam for her monkey. And she was arrested in North Carolina, and she's facing extradition. But this monkey, on 2 separate occasions, viciously, apparently, attacked employees at a Home Depot, once in the building and once out in the parking lot.
It's a bad monkey, man. Bad monkey.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on people having these exotic pets?
You know, Jamie Sexton tomorrow night would be a good one to ask about that because he used to own a tiger and he has a monkey named Spike. I'm going to butcher the name, a capuchin monkey, like one of them miniature ones.
Oh yeah, I know
Capuchin.
those.
You know, his name's Spike. Let's ask him that tomorrow night. But you know what? I know up here in Canada, they actually put a national ban and even provincial bans on exotic pet ownership, and it even has gone to the point of some reptiles. So there are certain reptiles that you can't have. And like up here, I don't know if it's like this in the United States, but up here, if you are over the age of 55 or after the age of 55, if you have like an animal like a turtle or a parrot, that have long lives, you actually have to provide for them in your will.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you have to make sure that animal is taken care of in your will.
Well, this woman, Florida does require certain permits for exotic animals, and she did not have any of the permits, vaccines, any of that. So the monkey is being sent to a sanctuary.
Well, I mean, that's a good place. I mean, but you look at in that entire southeast, I mean, Florida has a python and boa constrictor problem because people thought they were cute when they were small, but all of a sudden they're 10 feet long and they can't take them. They can't take care of them anymore, so they let them go into the wild. You have to think, how many of these big cats like lions or tigers are actually roaming around the United States right now in the wild and people don't even know? Have no clue.
Do you think that's a big concern?
Well, I think it is. I mean, I don't know about, I'm a pet guy, man. I'm a pet guy. Like when I get a pet, even if I'm struggling financially, I make sure my pet is taken care of. I'm not looking to pawn it off on the SPCA or something along those lines. I take my pets pretty seriously.
See, some of these exotic pets, though, I just can't see letting them roam around the house. I mean, I want something that's going to jump on the couch with me or sleep at the end of the bed. And I'm not sure what a spider monkey does, but I don't imagine I'd want it doing it in the bed.
Me either, man. I mean, at least the monkey found a sanctuary and they didn't go in and put the animal down because it was only doing what nature told it to do. But I mean, the big thing is if you're not going to be responsible for it, maybe there's got to be, is there some sort of restrictions or like, do you have to apply for an exotic pet license in Florida or anywhere in the United States?
It varies state to state. Most states have some form of registration or licensing that you have to get. In Florida, she was required to get a permit, which she did not have. And she also had not kept up on the monkeys' shots, rabies vaccines, that kind of thing either.
Right.
So,
well, she does. So it's her fault. It's not the animal's fault. It's her fault.
No, wild animals are wild.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you expect it to? If somebody is chasing it or trying to catch it, why wouldn't you expect it to, at the very least, defend itself somewhat?
I know. Maybe we should start calling the monkey, some of those stupid names that people are being called these days.
No, that would be rude.
I know. Buddy, let's take this to the top of the hour. I hope I'm going to apologize to the audience here because I really, really don't have the energy for the thought of the Dave today.
I can understand that.
Yeah, just keep cheering me up here, man. You're making me laugh. Thank you.
Oh, then you're going to love this one. Jenny McCarthy's house is haunted. It's the end of the story. It's all I care.
I want to investigate that.
She's posted a video. Claims there was some music, piano was playing, something like that. But, she's been out of the news for a while and people have kind of ignored her on her various anti-vaxxing, anti-this sort of campaigns. So now her house is haunted. That I see as a publicity stunt.
I don't know about that. I've seen the video. It's funny. I've seen the video about 10 times now, and never once have I actually put the sound on. But I used to have a piano. When my ex-wife and I were together, we lived in a place, and we had a ghost play our piano. Not anything musically. We found out it was a little girl who was just kind of banging on the keys like a child would.
Cool.
Yeah. My ex-wife actually saw her doing it. She got woken up by the keys of the piano being played. And, it doesn't surprise me. DJ Ashba, formerly at GNR, so of course I'm going to do this. About a year and a half ago, he actually posted a video in his house that his security cameras caught of his door to his swimming pool, his outdoor swimming pool, so I guess out to his patio, opened and shut.
That is weird.
Yeah.
I'm gonna search down that. Is that public? Is that on Facebook? Or?
I don't know if he had it on his Twitter account, but it might be. If you Google it, it might be there. But I think a lot of these places are haunted where people are, and if she's probably confused about it, and I know there's lots of us who would try and console her with an investigation.
Well, yeah, but it's Jenny McCarthy.
So
she is the poster child for attention wanting.
Yeah, but
we can agree to disagree on that one. But
yeah, either way, man. I mean, it's Jenny McCarthy, Playboy. Not funny. Okay, she should have never tried comedy. All right, I'll give you that. She should have never tried comedy.
Oh, she was good in 2.5 Men.
No, she wasn't bad there. Either way. Either way.
But, talking about pianos and DJ Ashba and things like that, just a little side trip here. Do you think that musicians have a natural tendency to draw some sort of activity or anything like that?
Totally. I actually talked to Jamie Sexton about that one time. Why does musicians and everybody have all this weird stuff kind of happen? It's because he kind of put it this way, and it sounds a little hokey, but it makes sense. He says musicians are cut from a different cloth where they're thinking outside the box. This is why so many musicians end up committing suicide. All right. Now, I'm not trying to put a tie in between, but I'm just paraphrasing things that he said. And he said because musicians are open to things outside of the norm, they experience a lot more than what we experience. And they experience it almost tenfold to what other people do.
I can completely believe that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
I actually have a story I'll tell you sometime.
Yeah. I got a story here quickly. So Mike Morin and I, we were outside looking for UFOs last night. And Mike goes to check on his computer inside. And he goes, whoa. And I'm like, what? And he said there was a man sitting on my couch.
Weird.
And we ended up giving the guy a shot of whiskey.
Was it like a full body apparition kind of thing, pretty clear, or was it like a shadow? Or
I didn't see him. I could feel him. I couldn't see him. Mike saw him though, and apparently he was like a farmer dude wearing, suspenders and old jeans, really crusty, hard-working hands that farmers have. Apparently he was just stopping by.
You are just a magnet for that kind of stuff. I wish I could have more experiences like that.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you just open up. You just open up, and that's what we got to do. Right? That's what we got to do. Give me one more story here if you got one.
There's a city in Japan that is facing a ninja shortage.
Oh no!
This town, Iga, is a small rural town, and their population is dwindling. People are leaving. The newer generation is looking for the more urban, modern lifestyle. So the population every year seems to be dwindling. So they've decided to reinvigorate the town by celebrating the history of ninjas and the all of the regalia and all of that surround the idea of the ninja lifestyle. The problem is that they can't find enough actors or character portrayers to actually have a festival.
Nobody wants the job.
Nobody wants the job.
That must be one, asshole of a town, if we use a Donald Trump term.
I would love to be a ninja.
How can you not want to play the role of ninja? You get a sword. Do you not? Do you not get a katana?
You get a katana and you get all the flowing robes, and the one thing you don't get is the ninja throwing stars, because they're not actually ninja throwing stars. But you get all of the benefits of being a ninja without having to actually do any of the lifelong training.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I think it's a job for me.
How much are they paying?
It ranges. The average ninja actor makes about $8,000 American during the season, but there are some reports that some of these the people interested in this are willing to pay up to $80,000.
Really?
To come and play a ninja for the season.
That's good money.
I would go. That would be like my dream come true, to be a ninja for a summer.
Let's bring Mr. Skeptic on Twitter with us. I want to see him snark this while we're there. He could make it fun. He could make it fun for us.
That could be dangerous. If there's ninjas around.
Mr. Skeptic, you and me training as ninjas in this Japanese town. We will be heroes, if just for one day.
Snark the wrong ninja and there's no more Mr. Skeptic.
Well, no, he could defend himself because he'd be a ninja too.
Yeah, but he'd just be a ninja in training. There have to be qualified. Do you get a license to be a ninja? How do you become a ninja?
I have no idea. No idea. Mr. Themer, we got to cut things off because we got to take it home, man.
Fantastic.
Thank you for a great night of news. We will see you tomorrow night.
I'm always surprised when you call me back.
I know, me too. Your hair looks great, though, so that's why we keep it going. All
Thanks.
right. Want to say a big thank you to Cory, Allison, and Matt from P.A.S.T, Saskatchewan, on Ghost of the Great White North with myself and Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada. Mike, your hair is looking tight tonight. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Jamie Sexton will be back from Rebel Planet News as we take a look at all the alternative sides of the media. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time at spacedoutradio.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother as we're watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thank you to all of you tonight, whether you're listening at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Everyone on Spreaker, thank you for your kind words. Everybody on Facebook, your kind words as well. Everybody on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you were fantastic. And the Veterans Club, the SOR Space Travelers, thank you for the love. My family needs it right now. God rest you, Bryce. God rest you. 29 years was not enough with you, kiddo. Uncle loves you, and I hope you're resting well. Thank you for sharing the show. Thank you for telling our friends and your friends all about us to make us bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a good night.
We're watching.